Hey everyone. Uh, Hopefully you are able to see me and hear me well. So can you please someone acknowledge if you are able to see me and hear me well? Is there a problem in hearing my voice? Hello. Hey Anthony. Am I audible? Yes. No. Hi Vignesh. Can someone confirm if okay, awesome. Okay, so let's give maybe another a minute for people to join. Okay, so hopefully the screen is also visible for everyone. So, okay, I think, mhm. Yeah, we will try that, Vignesh. Yes, we'll definitely, I'll take that feedback. It'll plan soon a Zoom session. All right, I think we should be getting started in the interest of time. All right, so first of all, thank you for the people who are here. And today the topic is going to be a packed agenda. So it's all with sprint and sprint execution. Okay, so it's one of the topic that you all have suggested in the poll. So we are going with that. Let's start with what is actually a sprint, right? So I won't get into the too much of agenda because we will not be able to get through everything. So you all know me. Just a quick introduction. So we have this YouTube channel, Learn Agile and Project Management by Selvi. So I'm trying to put whatever the knowledge that I have learned from my experience and in different opportunities I'm sharing in this group. Hopefully, it is bringing some level of benefit, and also you are able to learn something out of this group. That's the whole idea. So okay, I'll not go through so much of detail here. So okay, so let's start with what is basically the sprint all about, right? By definition, sprint is a time boxed event which delivers a value, which is a very simple definition. But two keywords to note here: one is time boxed, and another one is delivering a value. Why we can very well call that sprint is an event which delivers a value. Why we are using the word time boxed? That is a key here. See, whenever we plan to work on something, what is our actual goal? I need to complete that work. That is usually the goal that we keep in our mind when we are working on a task. But here, regardless of the completion of the task, the sprint will get over. The work may be completed, may not be completed, it is half cooked, you have not even started, it doesn't matter. But why? What is the purpose of doing in that fashion? What is all about in Agile? Agile is a methodology which allows change in requirements. You can change the requirements, and you can actually work on them. So what happens here is, when requirements are keep on changing, priority changes. So if you are not fixing the time, you will be keep on adding something. Hey, no, this is a priority, that is a priority, so you'll be keep on adding something, you will not complete anything. So it will be like going on forever and ever, because priority is always going to be high for some of the items. But how to restrict ourselves in doing that? So we should keep somewhere a placeholder, which is a time boxed one, so that whatever it is available there, that is our focus for the next 10 days, next 15 days, next whatever may be the length of the sprint. We will talk about what is the length of the sprint. So as of now, try to keep this in mind. Sprint is a time boxed event, which means even if you complete the planned work or not, even if you have started the work or not, what you have planned, it doesn't matter. Sprint will close on the last day. This is called as time box. The best example of time boxing is academic year of a school. Always remember this concept. For example, I'm a school student, okay? Even if I'm attending the school or not, even if I'm passing my exams or not, even if I am completely gone through all the syllabus which was given to me, maybe not, but school is going to end by the so and so month, because there is a academic year start and year end. Just because Selvi have not completed the syllabus in her studies, are they going to extend my duration in the school? No. I may fail in my exams, but they are not going to extend the duration, right? This is a typical example of time boxing. So you have a specific start date, specific end date, regardless of the execution, whether the execution is giving you the positive result or negative result, or just started, not started, in halfway, it doesn't matter. You are going to close the sprint. The reason for this, you should be very clear with the reason as well. The reason is Agile encourages changes in requirements, which means you have the opportunity to get always priority topics. Hey, this is a priority, that is a priority, please work on this, please work on that, because we have time. No, I don't have time. I have just 10 days and I have already a planned scope. I'm going to stick with that. So that is actually the purpose of sprint. The other thing with sprint is, we are delivering at the end of every sprint a value. Okay, now comes the question, what is a value? Selvi, I have created a sprint where we were working on how to set up the infrastructure for our team, because our team was new. For example, I'm going to a team as a Scrum Master, which is a brand new team. Okay, brand new team. We need to set up everything. No product backlog, no ground rules for the team. Ways of working is not defined. Brand new. Where to do all these things? At what level we can do all these things? So we will be doing all these infrastructure activities, preparing the product backlog, starting with the refinement, setting the ground rules, all those things. We should start somewhere, right? That starting somewhere is the sprint zero or the planned sprint. Now comes the question, Selvi, there is no sprint zero. I completely agree to that point, because according to Scrum Guide, sprint should deliver a value. What is the deliverable of a infrastructure setup? What is the deliverable or a value that you are going to achieve from your sprint zero? Nothing, basically nothing, because it is just a planning sprint, it is just a preparation sprint. That's why some people generally call it not a sprint zero, not to confuse, and they call it as preparation sprint, planning sprint. And also, like, just to ensure that sprint one is the first sprint which is going to deliver a value, some people call that a sprint zero. So don't confuse it. It is just a preparation sprint or planning sprint. Where it comes, actually it comes only in the place where you have a brand new team, because every time you won't have this problem. I don't have a product backlog, I don't have team ground rules, I don't know like what are the ways of working. That confusion will not be there in every team. Only in the places where you have a brand new team, that is a place where we will be doing the sprint zero. All right, so please push your questions in the chat window. We have good amount of time that I have planned for the question and answers. So I'll try to answer all the questions in the interest of time that what we have today. All right. So this is sprint. So it's clear. And at the end of every sprint, we deliver a value. We are going to deliver some value, like maybe you are going to have a login screen delivered at the end of the sprint. You may be ensuring that you have a decision made on a spike, that is at the end of the sprint, whatever it may be, it is actually a value. A sprint cannot exist without delivering a value. It should deliver a value. If it is not delivering a value, like for example, setting up the infrastructure, all those things, it's not delivering a value. It's not delivering any kind of customer value, business value. It's not a sprint. It's just a planning stage or a preparation phase, but we call it a sprint zero sometimes. All right. Now, why is sprint important in Agile? I kind of like touched upon this point, but still to go into the details of this, it improves the predictability. So Agile is a kind of continuous deliverable mechanism, right? Like we continuously deliver stuff there. So we want to predict. If someone is asking you as a Scrum Master, you should be able to answer what is the velocity of the team, when can I complete this feature, and all those things. It's very very important. So without a kind of time boxed event, how are you going to say that, hey, by 10 days I can expect so and so stories can be delivered? And without having say do ratio, how are you going to say that how much your team is going to achieve based on what they have committed? So these factors are very very important, which is going to give you the predictability option. And prediction is the key in Scrum, right? Because without prediction, you cannot plan the timeline of the project, because your requirements are going to change and you are going to adapt to those changes. Then it is must required thing that you should be in a position to predict according to different factors like say to ratio, velocity, and we will get to know other factors as well going forward. Okay. All right. So if we have a sprint, the advantage is we can deliver in smaller pieces. Smaller incremental way of building a product is achievable using the sprint. So that's the reason we are also using sprint mechanism in Agile. So what are the other things we have in Kanban? We don't have sprints. We'll talk about Kanban separately, but I'm just giving you a heads up here. All right. So we know what is a sprint and why sprint is required or important in Agile. All right. So let's get into the next topic, sprint length. So this is a very important topic because always we have confusion. What factors will decide? Am I the only person sit and decide the length of the sprint? First of all, what is length of the sprint? I can use a sprint with 1 week, which means, for example, Monday you are starting the sprint, 5 days, like at the end of day Friday, you are going to close the sprint, just a week sprint. You can also go with 2 week sprint. You can also go with 3 week sprint. You can also go with 4 week sprint, 1 to 4, not more than that, not less than that. Now, what decides all these things? First of all, team experience. The team is very new, still they are settling down. Okay, they have not settled down. The team is very new, and still you are figuring out so many things in the team, kind of ways of working, and the product is new for them. Even for product owner, it is new to gather the requirements. We are in that kind of stage. So in that place, it's always better to go in slower pace, not to have 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because you may not have that many number of items that can fit in that sprint, because you may not be in a position to refine first of all that many number of stories, because you don't have that clarity, because your product owner is still gathering the information from business and your stakeholders are still discussing about that. In that case, how can you say that you have enough of information for 3 weeks? May not be. So you can start with 2 weeks. Why can't 1 week? I'll talk about that. So now that is one thing. So team experience. So when team experience is improving and the maturity of the team is increasing, then the product backlog also gets into the shape where you will have more certain information there. You don't have much of uncertainties. You know what exactly you are going to do, and you are very familiar about the product. And it's kind of like a cakewalk for most of the team members, because they are very experienced with the product, and also like the team is very much collaborated in a way because they are working for long run as a whole group. So these all are certain factors which will help us to decide, hey, instead of 2 weeks, why can't we go with 3 weeks? That is also possible. This is one factor. The other factor is project complexity. I kind of touched upon this. When your product is very complex and your team is new, for example, so far the product was handled in a different location. Now the product is being handled in this particular group where you are going to be scrum master, and you are able to realize team is still learning. They don't have complete awareness, and they don't even have the complete understanding what is going to impact what, right? So in this case, it's very, very important that they are going to stick with the frame that is not so long, because in that case they may not be able to give the right estimation because they are still in the learning phase. Now, stakeholder needs. Wow, this is something which is going to shorten your duration. Why? As a stakeholder, I want to see the product very frequently because I am very curious to know what exactly the team is doing and what they are developing, so that I can provide some feedback. And also, as a stakeholder, I am still refining the requirements. I don't have the complete picture. So whenever things are coming in, it is also going to allow me to think what is going to be the next phase or next stage. So in that case, it's very important we should take smaller cycles so that we can reach out to stakeholders very frequently. So stakeholders also sometimes call out this, hey, like, please give frequently the things, so that we can give also the feedback frequently. Next thing is time to market. What if actually your product is looking for something to reach the market as early as possible? When the situation will come, Selvi, it's all about the timeline, right? No. For example, your product is in research phase and you have already found some pilot customers, and the pilot customers are going to decide whether this product is going to get into the NPD phase. What is NPD phase? New product development phase. So if you are delaying that, what is going to happen? The entire phase of touching the market is going to be delayed. It is very important these pilot customers feedback and what is their opinion and feeling about what we have developed, because if they are going to give a very constructive feedback and they are very happy about it, we are good to take it to the next set of customers. If they are going to give a lot of changes and they are not so happy, then maybe we need to think about what is the next option. So these all factors are going to decide what is the sprint length. But what are the pros and cons? That also we should touch upon, right? These are the factors. Generally, these are the factors which will help us to decide what is the best sprint length we can decide and go with. But now, what are the advantages and disadvantages? When you have very shorter sprint cycles, you need to have all the scrum events. Planning on Monday, every day you have daily scrum call, you have your review on Friday, and maybe the next Monday you have your sprint retrospective in addition to your sprint planning. Is that feasible? So in those cases, please customize, because when your sprint cycles are very minimum, you no need to have, hey, like retrospective, I'll generally go with 1 hour of retrospective. Do not stick to that. It may not be necessary, right? Because in 5 days, what we have learned is what we have learned. It's not going to be something different. So customize according to the needs. Make the process a lightweight one. Do not go with something, hey, this is what I follow and this is what I will generally go with. Do not encourage that, right? So what are the advantages of going with, see, going with 2 weeks, 3 weeks also has certain set of advantages. Going with 1 week also has certain set of advantages. But what is the reason which is triggering us to take the decision? That decides that. As I mentioned, if stakeholders really feel that their feedback on frequent mechanism is going to really develop the product and it's very important, then please select the uh, shorter cycles. And when you are very sure about what is the product backlog and you are very sure about uh, the product and the work items what you are going to work, and the refinement is like a cakewalk and team is like very experienced, it's not going to be a problem because they don't have much uncertainties, no much dependencies. It's very crystal clear stuff. Why to have just 2 weeks? Just go along with 3 weeks, right? So it again depends on different factors. So who will decide that? It's not scrum master, it's not going to be product owner, it's not going to be stakeholder alone. It's all going to be a combined effort. In the retrospective meeting, you are going to decide, hey, like, what is the sprint like that is best suitable for the team, and you can definitely go ahead with that. Now the catch is, Sylvie, I'll go with 3 sprints for 2 weeks, then I'll go with next 4 sprints for 4 weeks. No, don't do that, because you should have some level of consistency. Then only you can predict your team. If you are keep on changing the value that you will produce, that means the metrics that will come and help you out in preparation of predictability, will go for a toss. The reason is, you may not be able to get some information when you are keep on moving with 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. No, don't do that. Maintain the consistency, but at the same time, no, then I should not change the sprint length. It's not like that. When there is a need, when there is truly a need, discuss as a team in the sprint retrospective, take the decision, what is the best thing that can be for the team, and then go ahead with that. That's the best solution. All right. Okay. You can put your questions. If I'm going fast, sorry for that, because we have a packed agenda. I'll try to ensure that I'm not skipping any of the topics. But please feel free to add any questions at the end. We can definitely go through that. All right. So, what is sprint planning? I'm not going to discuss about this in detail because we had already one topic where we discussed all the Scrum events. So, I'm very sure you all know better than me now what is sprint planning. So, I'm not going to get into the details. So, it's basically a collaboration meeting. As a team, we sit and plan for the upcoming sprint, what we can achieve. And to achieve that goal, what is the task that we can, what are the tasks that we can plan? That's it. Now, why this is very important, because sprint planning is the trigger point to start a sprint, right? That happens on the very first day of the sprint. You have this meeting as a team. You are going to sit, and what are the steps you perform in this meeting, in this sprint planning event? The first thing is you define the sprint goal. Oh, Selvi, come on! Like, why we need a goal? We know that 10-day sprint, and we know that what are the topics we are going to work. What is the purpose of having the sprint goal? Why can't we directly pull the items based on the priority and then start the execution? It's waste of time for creating the sprint goal. If you have that question, I'm just going to answer what is the purpose of a sprint goal. Consider you are a stakeholder. Okay, you are having 2 to 3 projects, and I am one of the scrum master. I have not even written the sprint goal. You need to reach out to me to ask, Selvi, I don't see any scrum sprint goal in your sprint that you have created yesterday. Can you tell me what are you trying to do, man, in this sprint? Now, okay, I realized, oh, I missed the sprint goal. I should have added that, right? The reason is, for stakeholders, they cannot go through each and every item in your sprint backlog. They should have a crystal clear picture in a single statement that helps them to understand what this team is going to deliver at the end of the sprint. For example, what is the statement? The statement can be something like, implement the user management feature. This is what it is. This is the sprint goal. Okay. Now, this gives clear understanding because stakeholder is aware of what is user management feature, so they are aware of that. No issues. But in the team, when we are doing the sprint planning, we realized in the user management, we have addition of users, we have removal of users, we have modification of user details, we have something called as provide access or permissions to the user, which is granting permissions to the user, revoke permissions to the user. All these things are available. And then we realize, oh, no, hold on. We cannot do all these things because we don't have that much of bandwidth. Now, team is actually discussing, like, I have seen people doing in a different way. They create sprint backlog and they kind of like pull the keywords and create the sprint goal. Please do not do that. Okay. Now, as a team, we initially sat and came up with a sprint goal, which is called as implement the user management feature. Now we realized again, oh, this is going to be too much. We cannot do that. Now we are refining the sprint goal, implement the user management features, including addition of user, removal of user, modifying the user details only. In user management, you have n number of things. You cannot deliver those n number of things because of the constraint that you have at different levels. It may be your capacity of the team, and it may be because the sprint length is not that long because you have 2 3 holidays in that sprint. Whatever may be the reason, basically, but you are realizing that it's not going to happen. Now you are refining that scrum goal, which is going to give a clear indication to your stakeholder what you are trying to do. They no need to come and see, okay, Selvi's team has put user management, which means addition of user, removal of user. Where is grant permission? They no need to check that because you have clearly mentioned you have not included permission related stories. This is the purpose of sprint goal. This one line statement is going to give a very clear picture to your stakeholders what exactly you will deliver at the end of the sprint. All right. So this is sprint goal. So you will define this as a group. Now, based on this sprint goal, you will select the work items from the product backlog and create your sprint backlog. So, sprint goal should trigger the action of selecting the work items from product backlog, and it's not the other way. I'll create the sprint backlog, then I will frame the sentence which is going to fit this backlog items. Please do not do that. That may actually deviate multiple goals in a sprint. If you feel like there are multiple goals that need to be achieved, first make that as a sprint goal statement and then plan your sprint backlog accordingly. Do not do that, oh, user management, then we are going to have some security fixes, then we are going to have some ABC XYZ. First create the sprint goal and ensure that what are the priority topics, because your product owner is also there, right? So as a group we are going to have this discussion and then have the sprint goal and then get into the topic of sprint backlog items. Now, you have created the backlog, so you know that what is actually the scope of your sprint. Sprint backlog is the combination of your, the sprint scope is the combination of your sprint backlog with the guidance from your sprint goal and the order of execution. This is the combined thing of a scope. You cannot just cherry pick and work. You should have an order of execution. That's very important. And you should not deviate from the sprint goal. That's very important. And you should follow only the backlog that is available for the sprint, which is the sprint backlog. That is your overall scope. Now, capacity and velocity as guiding factors. One is actually the factor which drives to make a decision. The other one which helps you to guide. The driving factor is your capacity, because what is available, that only you can plan. You cannot go beyond that. So you should know the capacity of your team. Based on the available capacity of the team, you will be planning the work. What is velocity doing here? Because you know the average velocity of your team, so you know now you cannot go beyond this level, because that's the maximum your team can go with. So just take that as a reference mechanism. It's okay sometimes not to plan neck to neck calls. Do not go with neck to neck commitments, right? So that's very important. So that for that guiding factor, velocity is really going to help. Next is in the sprint planning, you will do the task breakdown, because you need to know who is going to work on what, because it's not push mechanism, it's a pull mechanism. So everyone should be knowing what they can work, and they should also be aware of like whether they have the capacity, whether they are able to manage that work in this period of time. So for all those things, task breakdown is very, very important. So these are the key things that happen as part of the sprint planning event. Now, the next thing is, let's go with the next topic, sprint execution. All right. So, what happens as part of sprint execution? So, from first day of the sprint, team will be working on that. So, certain things we need to ensure so that we are monitoring the sprint execution, and also the sprint execution balances out if there are anything coming as blockers, impediments, dependencies, and all those things. We will discuss about that. But before that, in sprint execution, how to know the execution is first of all not going well? The first opportunity is your daily scrum call. Your daily scrum call is a collaborative option again with the team, where you can call out if you are foreseeing any kind of blockers. Do not assume that it is not a blocker. If you feel that, please call out. See, it's like a risk. It may or may not happen. It's fine, but we at least have some mitigation option if you are calling out. So, as a team member, it's very important in the daily scrum call. As a scrum master, you should encourage your team to call out those kind of things. It should not be like what I have worked yesterday, what I'm going to do today, what I'm no. It's okay. You can say that, but in addition to that, always have this question. Hey, like, are we okay with this sprint? Do we see any kind of challenges? Are you foreseeing any kind of blocker? Please put this question always and encourage team to call out those kind of information in your daily scrum call, right? Next is monitoring progress. Burn down chart. Burn down chart is the best metric which helps on day to day basis how we can track how are we progressing in the sprint. There are different options. First of all, okay, in burn down chart, you can go with task based monitoring. That is one way if you feel like your team demands that. If you don't feel that, when you don't feel that, I'm going to give an example. Let's say you have a story. That story is of like a reasonable size story, which is actually going to take an estimation of story points like 8. So it's not going to be completed in another 1 or 2 days for sure, right? Because it has good level of development, design, integration, testing, everything. So if someone is going to say, hey, like, I'm working on this, I'm working on this, I'm working on this in the daily scrum call, What are we going to get if there is a blocker? Can we get that there is first of all a blocker? No. For that, you need to get into the task level. Selvi, I don't have the concept of creating task in my stories. Awesome. That means your stories are in such a space or in such a size where you can detail out and monitor the story level itself. Like, for example, your stories are getting completed in such a way they are well sized. Like we have splitted the story in such a way that they will be getting completed in few days. Then it's easy. What is the actually the purpose of burn down chart? If there is a flat line, there is no slope coming in, that means it's a clear indication we are blocked or something is happening. And what if actually there is a spike suddenly going up? That means there is a scope change. Which metric can give this best representation? Only burn down chart. So whether you want to put in the y axis task or stories, it's up to you. It's how you manage in the team level. You are tracking with the help of stories, you are tracking with the task, please go ahead with that. But ensure that you are daily showcasing that burn down chart. Not only like if you have a blocker, what if actually team is not maintaining the status well in the tool? They're not even updating. They generally update on the very last day. If some stakeholder is watching that, what they will get to know, they may not be getting to know anything. See, if I'm a person who is interested to know what's happening in the team because I'm very curious about the delivery that's going to be out on the last day of the sprint, I'm eagerly waiting and I'm seeing a flat line. What exactly I'll get as a stakeholder? I will reach out to my scrum master and ask, hey, like, is there any problem? Am I going to get the value out of this sprint or something else? So it's very important. This is a basic tool that is going to help each and every one of you, not only the team, your stakeholders as well, who have the access to whatever the tool you use. Please ensure that the burn down charts are going to be really, really helpful here. The next one is collaboration. So when we say collaboration option, right? So now, when the collaboration is not the best in your team, okay, people are not calling out when they need some help from others, when they actually want to know, for example, some kind of support, if they want to call out, hey, like there is a testing support I need because I may be delayed for a day, I cannot go with the plan. You should call out that kind of information in a very, very uh, healthy way in this meeting, daily scrum call. This should happen throughout your sprint execution. It's not only during this daily scrum call, the collaboration is very important throughout the sprint execution because that gives the opportunity for people to understand what exactly is happening and when they can actually share their work or support or whatever it is. The next thing is transparency. Call out what exactly it is. Do not assume or do not over engineer the stuff and say, hey, today I'm unable to complete, but tomorrow I'll be able to complete. Please call out where you stand so that people can offer help or support so that you will be able to move from the blocker where you are today. Without calling that, it's very, very very much impossible, right? Okay, I see a question. If scope change, it affect to burn down chart, not burn down. No, it affects burn down chart as well because your story points will increase, right? If you are adding a new story and add some task, if task means it will be in hours, if stories means in story points. So automatically, earlier it was 30 story points, now it will go to 35, for example. Then obviously, see, the burn down chart should come like this, right? If you have x axis, y axis like this, it should come like this. Suddenly, if there is a spike like this, that means there is an increment in the story points or increment in the hours. When it will happen? When there is a scope change. Scope, basically scope addition, not reduction. That is also a scope change. All right. uh, okay, so people just put your questions here, I'll be happy to answer at the end also, and the places wherever we can. All right, so the next topic is handling changes and blockers during a sprint. This is very important. If you are not doing that, the sprint is not going to be successful, right? Okay, many scrum masters here, so you people are doing this daily. So first thing is a change, scope change, basically. First of all, as a scrum master, on behalf of your team, you should negotiate with your product owner whether it is actually important to have this change and why can't we wait for the next sprint? What is the urgency? There are two categories here. Okay. One is if some user story that you're working, it got completely nullified, which means it's invalid now. It became obsolete. Okay. So no value is going to come out of it, or it's no more a requirement, invalid requirement. Then for sure you should change the scope because you need to take that out. It's not going to be beneficial even if you're working. All good. Next option, you want to add something. For example, uh, a successful message. Earlier, you don't have any kind of successful message after a particular order has been placed successfully. Now you want to show a message, basically a small message window. It's a scope change because team needs to work, right? Because test case should be updated, developer should update, and design team should give the design, all these things. Is it important now, really? Is that going to harm the functionality? No. Can we wait, create a user story, and deliver this value of having a messaging system once the order is placed successfully? Can we hold this till the next sprint? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on what is the situation or the priority from the product owner. Now, two cases here. First thing, what is the priority of the work? Can we wait? Can't we wait? Okay, two things. The next thing is, if we cannot wait, we need to have this. What is the place where we are today? What is the place means actually, for example, if you are on the fourth day of the sprint, okay, you have some more time, and team is saying, okay, we can plan this, but we need to take something out which already we have planned. Otherwise, we will not be able to complete the sprint. Fair call. So now you are going to take this because team is very important. They are the people who are going to do the work. So first thing, your option as a scrum master is to negotiate with your product owner to understand what is the priority of the change. Why can't it wait till the next sprint? As a scrum master, you have done that, and now you know that the priority is high and the product owner is expecting things to be available as early as possible. You respect that, and you are going to talk to your team and ask this question. They are ready to do this because they are on fourth day of the sprint. Generally, from my experience, it's not a good idea to disturb the sprint goal or the sprint commitment that we have made as a team on the second week of the sprint. Why? Because if we change something, first of all, will we be able to complete that work? May not be. So, you are going to spill over what you are adding also. In addition to that, you are going to spill over something that already you have committed also because you are going to make a switch, right? Is that really required? Can't we wait for that week time? Valid call. No, we cannot wait. Then if you are on the first week of the sprint, just try to understand, is that really important? If it is important, then go ahead with that. If it's not important, please negotiate with your product owner. Yes, I do understand the concern, but can we hold this till the next sprint? This is very, very important to make changes. So from my experience, you may be always pushing back. That's a good thing because sprint backlog should be always fixed for the sprint. Then only it is very easy for the team to manage and have the focus on the sprint goal. But always, as a scrum master, negotiate. First thing. And if you are able to negotiate and get into some kind of conclusion and make the work item wait for the next sprint, that's all fine. If you are unable to do that, check with your team. You are on the first week or second week. Always have this practice as a kind of common ground rule in your team. Second week, we are not going to encourage any changes because the team will be disturbed and the focus is going to be lost. Even on the first week, but first week, because we cannot always push back, right? We are open to make changes. We are going to adapt to the changes. So it's fine. But when we are making that, it's very, very important. Next thing is addressing blockers and impediments. Okay. So before getting into blocker and impediment, it all starts with the dependency. Okay. So more and more we are unable to handle the dependency, those things will get into impediment. And once those things are not handled, they will get into a blocker. So let's try to get some example, right? So the first thing is actually if you have a design team dependency, right? If you are actually depending on your design team for something, it is a dependency. What if, as a scrum master, you have not taken any action, you have not followed up with the team, and it is slowly delaying your progress, slowly delaying your execution, then it is obviously an impediment. And that impediment, one fine day, it will turn into a blocker. So the role of a scrum master here is even before the start of the sprint. Okay, so which means what, Sylvie? So every day I need to think about what is going to come. Yes, of course, because from the backlog refinement, we know what are the dependencies related to those work items, right? Because it's not going to come on first day of the sprint. We all know for this particular topic what is actually the dependency. We are discussing all these things during our backlog refinement session. So we have ample amount of time from the backlog refinement to sprint planning, first of all, to clear, to resolve those dependencies. If not, you have a very well uh, planned action where you are going to say, no, there won't be any harm. Let's pick up this work item because on the second day of the sprint, I'm guaranteeing that I will get this done from the other team where this dependency is being worked out with. Team is just trusting that statement and they are planning that. Ideally, if there is a dependency, try to hold that item. Don't pick that item as part of the sprint backlog. Why? Because you don't have the control, right? I'm just assuming or I'm just having the plan that it will get resolved. What if that plan is not going to work out? What if that plan is actually not going as per the assumption or idea that what I had? So if there is a dependency, try to hold back. But if priority is demanding and team is also okay with that, you can plan. But as a scrum master, you need to ensure that you are following up so that the dependency is not getting into the impediment and the impediment is not getting into the blocker. Because when there is a dependency, you cannot take that work item from day one, right? You need to hold it in your sprint backlog. Maybe the developer is working on something else, but you cannot hold for a longer time. You need to work on that. So you need to plan and follow up in a way so that you're not going to miss, right? So one thing is avoid the work items which has dependencies. If you don't have the option, follow up. Try to ensure, be very transparent in your daily scrum call and say that, hey guys, I'm feeling that this dependency is getting into a blocker. I somehow feel that. Why can't we take this item? Make a scope change then and there. Do not do not wait for that end moment to take the decision. Have consistent check with your product owner. What if this item is not getting planned as part of this deliverable? What if we are missing this item? What is going to be the impact? Have the check. This is something as a scrum master you should be doing when you realize that the dependency is getting into a impediment and impediment is getting into a blocker. Do not wait for that moment when that blocker is coming in and then we get into some action and then pull something from the product backlog, then disturb the team. No, when you know that, that's how the foreseeing option, right? So you should be knowing that. The next thing is team collaboration. I mentioned this already. Collaboration is almost in every slide today, because without that you cannot run a sprint successfully, or you cannot even execute the sprint in the way that you anticipated. So it's very important. Bring that collaboration option. Allow people to have the transparent communication. Call out when they need some support. Always encourage them to share the dependencies, blockers coming on their way. So these all things will really help to ensure that we are getting into the right track and not getting into a blocker or derail from the plan what we have already made. All right. So next is this is very important. So what happens here is like we as a team, everyone have different thoughts, right? When we say definition of done, like without definition of done, according to me, done is different. So there is always something I just want to call out. Coding is different from development. Okay, you can write a code, that is coding. You need to follow some development practices to make this code into a developed piece of work. What does that mean? See, if you have a functionality, you are writing the code, it should work. But if you are not following any kind of guidelines that you have developed for your team, when I say you as a team, right, the standard guidelines, development guidelines, peer review process, test coverage, unit test coverage, automation test coverage, all these things as a whole create that development bundle. So coding is different from development. Only the piece that I have coded cannot be deployed to production because it should adhere these kind of guidelines so that we have everything in the developed piece of code. This is what we try to achieve as part of definition of done. This is a kind of like shared agreement that we do as a team which means what is done actually, the definition of done that we are calling out here. So it's very, very important we prepare this, because this helps to take some decisions during your estimation. Because if you don't know what are the things, if I don't even know that I need to update a documentation, if I no need to I don't know whether I need to follow the peer review process, I may not even estimate for all those things, right? If my colleague is giving some kind of feedback, where is the time for me to fix all those things? So it's very, very important. So ensure that you have definition of done, so that this execution of the sprint always targets that what is my checklist, which I need to always have the checks, so that I can say that it is done, right? So you should always follow this guideline. Definition of done before and during the sprint. So before the sprint, actually we create the definition of done document. It's again a collaborative effort from the team, and we come up with that. It is helpful during the estimation, and accordingly we plan, okay, this is what actually like I can pick up, because I need to not only code, I need to take care of all these things, then only I can say that it is actually done. So for all these things, this is very important. And for during the sprint, okay, this is before the sprint. During the sprint, this is something which is going to act as a kind of checklist. As a developer, I want to always review that, so that whether I'm able to make all those checklists checked, so that I'm meeting all the required criteria, then I can deliver that product which is actually done. For product owner also, it is going to be easy, okay, whether it is meeting actually the done or not to have different done from different people. This is going to be easy for product owner to align with the team with whatever actually done means. Okay, so this is also very important as part of the sprint, because if this is not there, then everyone have their own definition of done. That is not going to be fruitful during the execution, and also at the end of the execution. For product owner also, it's going to be very difficult, because just it is uh, achieving what it's supposed to achieve, but it is not following any development guidelines. We cannot accept that, right? Because okay, it should fix certain thing in the code, it got fixed, but it had broken something else in the code coverage. Unit test coverage had gone tremendously bad, but we need to maintain 70 to 75 percentage. What happened to that? That is something we want to really achieve, right? So now we cannot say that it is done, because that is also part of the work. So in those cases, it is very important you should have this definition of done, so that this checklist really helps people to take some decision. All right, so next topic, managing mid-sprint changes. So we kind of touched upon when to accept or reject changes, but what I have added here is just a quick another scenario. Why I have added this as a separate one, I just want to call out something here. Whenever there is a mid-sprint change coming in, this triggers one metric called a scope change. I just want to call out that here. As a Scrum Master, always have this metric. People say that, oh, I calculate velocity, I calculate say-do ratio, I calculate customer satisfaction, I calculate my team satisfaction, uh, so and so, so and so. But we definitely need to measure the metric, which is scope change. When to accept, how many scope changes came, and how many actually turned into the actual change which were accepted, and how many got rejected. What is this basically all about? That's why I have added something called as mitigation. Ensure that you have a definite backlog refinement session, and this backlog refinement session is also going to be helpful to give the priority, what exactly the priority that stakeholder group is looking from this particular topic, and ensure that we don't encourage much changes after that, which means the preparation for your backlog refinement is going to be very deep and very strong, so that you have captured each and every detail over there, and you're not going to encourage much after the backlog refinement. So this is going to give some level of confidence to the team. Okay, this is what I have taken, this means this is what I'm going to work on the sprint, not something going to happen in the mid of the sprint. So we discussed about this. I don't want to again reiterate what we have discussed, but have this metric called a scope change. What is addition? What is removal? How many it came? Accepted, rejected. So you have all these things. You can make a simple table to have all these things. Scope change. How many requests came? How many accepted? How many rejected? And if you have added something, how many you have added, how many you have removed. This gives us the actual understanding what to improve in our backlog refinement, right? So this is very important as a team, what we need to do. The first point we have already discussed about the acceptance, rejection, and ask your product owner to prioritize whether it is priority topic, why can't it stay for another week. All those things we have discussed, so I will not go through that. But mitigation, please ensure how are you calculating your scope change as a metric, and what is the mitigation option that you are going to take from that metric. All right. So, common challenges in sprint execution. Oh, this is something that we all see as part of our sprint execution. Scope change, we discussed about that. That often happens, right? Addition of scope, removal of scope. As I mentioned, if it is a removal of scope because the requirement becomes invalid, that's a complete yes, yes. There is no option. There is no option. Okay. So, but when it comes to addition, you need to think about that, which is what we discussed as part of scope change. Poor communication, so misunderstanding, you don't understand the requirement itself clearly, the backlog refinement is not so great. There is no transparent communication, we assume things a lot, and no calling out of dependencies. These all things are not going to bring any execution smoother. Missed deadlines, so overcommitment, this is where your velocity factor really plays a role. Just because I have lot of capacity, like, oh yeah, we can have neck to neck commitment, do not do that. It's okay. Just have what we can plan, what we can do, and then if we have time we can plan it. Always have some buffer topics, right? If you are getting blocked with some topic for whatever may be the reason, you should definitely have some buffer topics. So always have that as an option, and do not overcommit or do not have some neck to neck commitments if you are a new team. So that is something you always should follow. And then underestimation, oh, this we can do in one story point, this is not something a problem. Please analyze the details, have the estimation framework very strong in our team. We discussed about estimation last month in our live stream. You can refer to that. But if you want more details also, I'm happy to have other sessions. But do not underestimate the topics. When we will underestimate, we don't have complete information, or we are kind of overconfident because we think that we are not looking the dependencies rightly. We think that this is what it is, and we kind of like go ahead and give some estimation, which is something like a rough estimation or ballpark, but it is not the reality. Then also we'll get into a problem. If you are not using the velocity factor at all, as I mentioned, make neck to neck commitments. No, there are high chances that we may miss deadline. So always have that capacity as your decision factor, velocity as your guiding factor whenever you are planning a sprint. That's very important. Do not go with one. Always balance this out, right? When we are calculating velocity as a metric, where are we using and what is the purpose of that? We should have that visualization, right? It is one of the place, is the right place is sprint planning, so please make use of that. So these are some of the common challenges that we have. And okay, so the best practices. Okay, so the best practices, when we say like what we can do so that our sprint execution is going to be smooth, and also like I won't say like smooth means it's not going to have any hurdle or something. No, it's not going to be in that way. What are the things that we can do so that we can minimize the issues or minimize uh, the problems that we are going to face, and also boost the confidence of the team, right? Clear sprint goals. As I mentioned, do not add so many things because this is priority, that is priority. No, please do not do that. First of all, sprint objective should be very much clear to each and everyone. So that's very important. Next, limit the work in progress items. When someone is working on something, always ask them to focus on that till the closure of the item. Do not encourage anyone to work on, oh, today you work on this, tomorrow you work on that, day after tomorrow this, day after. No, please don't encourage that. If someone is doing that as a scrum master, that's where we follow the board. In the daily scrum call, we go through the details of the board, and we also ensure the order of execution is very, very important. The order of execution is very important because someone is actually waiting for a particular topic. If you complete this early, the tester is going to get ample amount of time to cover the testing. Please encourage this topic to go first. Do not allow cherry picking. So this is very important again. And multiple simultaneously, I will work on this, work on that. No, it's not going to work. So don't encourage that. Effective communication, this is very important. Again, it's part of collaboration. Ensure that people are calling out right details at the right place, so that as a scrum master, you will be definitely able to help. You should encourage and empower that kind of environment. That's very important. And feedback loops, two places, one on the topics that we are working, that is the sprint review, and one for us, which is the sprint retrospective meeting. So sprint review will uh, inspect and adapt to the changes, inspecting the increment that we are delivering and adapting to the future topics for the upcoming sprints. When it comes to sprint retrospective, what we learned in the sprint and what are the priority topics we can fix, so that we will be having some level of betterment in the upcoming sprints. So encourage these feedback loops. Do not like, no, we don't have time. Uh, Team is blocked with so many things. We have the project deliverable that should be going on so and so date. So can we skip the retrospective meeting? No, please don't do that. If you are unable to have a lengthy discussion, uh, provide the tools which help you to gather some information. Take the information as a scrum master, process it, ask right questions to people, have some 15 minutes discussion and ask, hey, guys, let's prioritize this because I have gone through each and every one of your detail. Now I have clear understanding, but do not skip the retrospective meeting. Please don't do that. So these are some of the things as best practices we should follow, so that we will be able to get some definite benefit from the sprint execution, and also the execution is going to be smooth. Key metrics. Uh, this is a very big topic. This itself can go on for an hour. But I have just put this information because metric is one topic that we are going to cover in our future live stream. But what is exactly the things you track on day-to-day basis in sprint execution? Some of the key metrics. One is velocity. We talked about this. So not only on day-to-day basis, during planning you are going to use this metric, and at the end of the sprint, you are going to calculate this metric for your future sprint. What it is going to do in the midway, when some scope change is coming, always again velocity is going to guide you. Do not make neck to neck commitments. Use this as a guiding factor, prediction factor. It's very important because this comes from the data that is from history, right? So data is data, right? It's not going to have any additional information that came from somewhere. It is actually the data from the team. So it definitely helps us to predict something. So just trust that value and predict things according to that. Commitment reliability, we touched upon this topic. Anyway, metrics, I'll go in detail. So don't feel that why Selvi is suddenly rushing on the topic. I'm also mindful about everyone's time. So commitment reliability or say-do ratio is something. What as a team that we are committing and what we are at the end of the sprint we are achieving. It's very important to calculate this. Why it is very important? It again gives a very good confidence every time how this pattern is moving. Is it like always 80 percentage what we achieve on the commitment, or 90 percentage, or 40 percentage, or 100 percentage? That gives the complete clarity where we are lagging. Is that something we kind of over commit on the stuff, or we underestimate the work items, or we don't have a strong estimation framework, that's why we are lagging there? What exactly is the problem that we can understand? And the advantage of calculating this is this will help you to plan the buffer for the overall project timeline. This is something a separate topic I'll cover, the project timeline itself. But I'm going to just quickly explain that when you have a project timeline, you always you would have seen something called as buffer. People say that add two sprints as buffer. How are you actually adding that? There should be some logic, right? This factor is going to help you out. Like every sprint, what you commit, what you can expect as a deliverable, 80 percentage, 70 percentage, 60 percentage, what is that? That means the 40 percentage is actually a risk factor here. They are not going to complete. That means that will get as a spillover. It is going to keep on getting added as a spillover. Then if you are just sticking to the project timeline according to the initial estimates, you may not be able to complete because you have a lot of spillover items. May or may not happen. But as a buffer, you need to add something based on this logic. What as a team we are going to do as part of say-do ratio. The last one is burn down chart. We touched on this. It's very important. Have a practice of using this burn down chart every day. In your daily scrum call, open this burn down chart. As a team, go through that and understand where we stand and what are the challenges. All right. Okay. So this is what I have for today. I'm just having quick announcements so that I'll just go through that quickly and then take the questions. So, first of all, thank you so much to this group because to this group and all the subscribers of the channel, because we crossed 500. It's a big milestone, I can say. So when you subscribe to this channel, definitely you thought that you are going to definitely learn something from this channel. I will definitely not disappoint you. I use a lot of definitely, because that's the reality. I will ensure that there will be the best thing we will get out of this channel. So we are already following quiz. So the quiz, I'm seeing good level of response. Thank you so much for that. If you are really enjoying the quiz, please share the feedback, or if you have some kind of feedback for me, comments for me, what we can improve on that, please share that as well. That will definitely help this group, help this overall community to ensure that we are improving on this. See, you all are my product owners, right? So quiz is something I feel that you people are really enjoying, and it's one way of definitely fun way of learning stuff, and you can learn one topic a day, so it's going to be really beneficial. So I like that idea. And if you really like, and if you have some kind of comments or some kind of feedback, I'm very much open to the feedback. And that is one thing I just really want to call out about the quiz. And there is a screenshot which says about the poll. So last month also I talked about something. Hey, like there are good number of topics that are going to come on project management, product management, this, that, and all those things. You may ask, Selvi, where are those? Yes. So I actually got some feedback from people saying that, hey, Selvi, like these topics are something we are really looking for. These interview questions may be really helpful. So what I have done is, yes, you all are my product owners, I am again asking you to prioritize this thing. So already I got some votes. I request you all, please vote so that I know what is the next step for us. So that will be really really helpful. uh, it's actually like very important for me to understand what exactly this group is looking for, because I respect all the people who are here, and you have a definite uh, thing in your mind that some value you are going to get out of this group. I'll definitely not disappoint. So I'm trying to ensure that what is the best that we can add over here, that is the thing as a first priority we can do. So please go to the community tab. I think many people are using for the quiz. So please always check that, like, when not always so like you will be definitely getting the notifications if you have selected the notifications all. I'm pretty much sure on that. I'm also not sure on the mechanics that that runs behind that, but you will be getting for sure the when I tag the entire group. So please respond to this poll. We will keep this poll maybe for another 2 to 3 days. The good thing is, for all these topic, I have already 2 videos ready. It's not going to be audio only. You will see me. Um if you like that, also you can give me the feedback, and if you don't like that, also you can give the feedback. Put it in the comments. Tell me, don't add the video. It's okay if you are just giving the voice. That's also fine for me. I definitely we can improve from there. As a person, I can definitely think of options. What is the best this team can get out of this group? So please share your feedback over there, and I request all of you to please vote, and so that I will get to know what exactly the first topic we can take from here. So again, thank you so much. Uh, it's actually the channel and the community is growing, and definitely lot of learning is going to come in this group. I'll try my best to share the most of the knowledge and experience that I hold to this group in the possible ways. Share this channel if someone is interested in your friends group who can definitely get benefit out. And yeah, I think they will definitely enjoy the journey of being in this group and learning every day. So this is something I really want to call out. Once again, thank you so much for all of your support. And the last thing is, just this is also something people have asked, like, Selvi, how to reach out to you. So I am now available in TopMate. So if you need some topics to be discussed, or you want to have a quick connect, these all are different options that we have, so you can definitely use them. And please let me know, like, if you want to connect, you can use this option. I'll just put this links for the convenience so that you can use it. All right. So that's it. I think the last one. Thank you so much. So now questions. If anyone has any questions, let me go to the chat. All right. Anything is a question? Yeah, I think we answered Rajshekar's question. Scope change. Yes, we can learn from the burn down chart as well. Yes. Nowadays quiz question very tough. Okay. Well, I think it's yes. This feedback I got, but I think you people are also getting into the next level, right? No more direct questions like who can cancel a sprint. No, you all will answer. So we are getting into the next level. So it's going to be tough, but I see a lot of people answering the right one. And if not, also you are able to learn a new topic that day. So it's going to be really interesting. Prashant, thanks. Learning a lot from you. It's providing good value. Thank you so much, Prashant, for your feedback. Okay, we have a question. So Prakash is asking why we use only Fibonacci series while estimating stories. Okay, so Prakash, like Fibonacci series already use the relative estimation, relativity. Okay, already. So it's not mandatory that you should use first of all Fibonacci series. That's number one answer for that question. You can use different ways where you see relative estimation. What is relative estimation means? Relative means you compare two things. So you have two objects. Okay. So I'm seeing what I can show here. So all right. So I have two coins. Okay. So two coins. So this is slightly smaller than this one. Okay. This one is actually slightly bigger than this one. How I'm saying this is bigger, this is smaller, just because I am able to see it. I don't know how much small, how much big, I don't know. But there is a comparison that I am able to do, which makes me say that this is smaller, this is bigger. Okay, this is relative comparison. Comparing two objects relatively and coming up with the decision what is bigger or smaller, or what is bigger or smaller. Now, this relative estimation concept, relative model is already available in Fibonacci series, which means 0 is smaller than 1. 1 is higher than 0. 3 is higher than 1. 1 is lower than 3. This is actually not from the numbering point of view. It is generally like this is how the relative estimation works. Instead of number, let me take the example of t-shirt sizing so that you will make it, you can correlate very easily. T-shirt size small is actually smaller than medium. Medium is smaller than large. Large is bigger than medium. This you can see it and you can very well understand this concept. How much it is smaller, how much it is bigger, we are not worried about that. We are worried about what is bigger, what is smaller. So this is relative estimation or relative comparison. We want to have stories also, not to estimate it in absolute values. We want to go with what is bigger and what is smaller. That is what we want to understand. If it is bigger or smaller, how much it is bigger, how much it is smaller. How much means how many times, not how much means not the quantity as such. How many times it is bigger, how many times it is smaller. So now XS, S, M, L, XL. So this means you actually have the definition of like what is extra large and what is extra small. Extra small is the least item and it is smaller than even small. Small is actually bigger than extra small. So that is, this relative estimation is already handled in these places. That's why we use these things for estimation. Stories are estimated not with absolute values. That's why we don't go with hours or days or minutes or weeks or months. No, we don't do that. We are interested to know what is the biggest story, which means the biggest story holds lot of dependencies, lot of risk, lot of complexity, going to deliver a business value, lot of work involved. So it is a heads up for people. Hey, this story holds largest story point, which means this needs to given more attention. Or why can't we split the story if it can be delivered with different values? That is something you are able to get. So as Fibonacci series mathematically and scientifically already proven method of relative estimation, we are using that directly. And the one that we are very familiar with is the actual t-shirt sizing. So we are going to use that as well. Okay. In Jira tool, how to use a t-shirt size estimation technique. You can feed that information in your drop down, Rajshekhar. So it is actually, you can request your Jira admin. If you are only having Fibonacci series, Instead of Fibonacci series, you can load that information with t-shirt sizes as well. It is just a drop down, right? If I'm not wrong, you are using a drop down. If you are using a drop down, as a project admin, we may not have permission, but the enterprise Jira admin who handles all the field values, they have the opportunity to add this. If team is not going to complete high priority story in sprint, how to justify it to PO? Okay, first of all, do not wait for the end. Okay, because when you say they have not completed, we have different opportunities to handle the situation. The first situation is when there is a high priority topic, means whatever may be the situation, we want to complete this topic in this sprint. That's our first goal. So for this goal, first itself we need to plan. When I say first itself, you should encourage and you should ensure your team is picking this item from day one. And when you know that in the daily scrum call, this topic is going out of the focus, which means team is not feeling like they will be able to complete, you should immediately pull your product owner and ask what is the impact it is going to create if this work item is not going to be completed. And your next question is like how to react to the situation, because proactive is one option, because you ensure that team member is picking this item from day one, not to put this item in the board as in the backlog. It is already taken into care, someone started working. But when you realize that it is not moving, it is somewhere getting blocked, what is the impact it is going to deliver? You should not wait till the end of the sprint to justify to your PO. You should have daily communication so that you are able to constantly provide the information to your PO in a way that what is the impact of each and every item if they are going to derail from the plan. If we are unable to work on some item and complete it, what is the impact it is going to bring to us? That's very important. So that is something you should be as a scrum master every day communicate to your PO. And I think we have a topic called as mid-sprint uh, report, which is not a um, guideline that everyone follows, but I personally like that concept and I follow that. Right? What is the purpose of that? Do not wait for a failure. If you foresee that something is going to fail, or if you foresee something is a problem, or if you foresee whatever it is, not a problem, not a success, you are going to have a report shared to your stakeholders in the mid of your sprint. What is the benefit? You are not going to really disappoint anyone at the end of the sprint. You are preparing them. What is this report going to have? Very simple information. Do not add so much of information. What are the stories that you have committed? If it is done, put a green. It's a traffic light symbol, right? If it is done, put a green. If it is in progress and if you know that it is going to be completed, then all good. Add a comment, it is on track. It's yellow. If it is not even started and you feel that it is a risk item to complete, please call it out as gray or something additional than the traffic control lights. And if it is red, which is a blocked state, or you feel that it's not going to move at all because that's gone because of a dependency or a blocker, you add that comment. So this way you are sharing the information not only to your stakeholders, your internal stakeholder is your product owner, right? So it's very important you are preparing this. In addition, this is a reactive option, right? What is the proactive option? When you are doing this, you are going to add a catch up plan. What is the impact if this particular topic is not going to be delivered? What is the impact? Is it going to impact the future sprints? Is it going to impact the overall timeline or the overall project delivery? What exactly is going to impact, and how we can manage that? Work with your technical architect or the tech lead. Work with your product owner for the catch up plan. But you should have a catch up plan. That's your proactive measure. Your reactive measure is this is what it is. uh, I cannot do anything more than this, but because you have done all the options right at the end of the sprint closure, but you have already taken a proactive option because you have a catch up plan at your end. That is very important when you feel that a high priority topic. It's not only for high priority or low priority topic, Prashant. It's all for every scoped item in the sprint. But if it is a high priority, always give importance in the daily scrum call. When you realize or when you feel even that this is going out of the track, please take the right measures then and there. Call to the team. What is the impact? What support you can provide? If you want someone else to work additionally to that, uh, if some support is provided to that team member, that will be helpful. Check for all the possible options in the daily scrum call. That will definitely help to avoid that failure maybe. I think hopefully that answered. uh, Rashikar has a question. If team done only 3 story point out of what team committed 5 story points, in such, can you move 2 story point subtask items next sprint? Not only subtask thing. Okay, so let me read it again. If team done only 3 story point out of what team committed 5 story point. Okay, okay, no. If you have a question, if I understand the question in the right way, for example, you have a story which is of 5 story points. You have completed 3 story points of work. I don't know, like, first of all, how you are coming up with the 3 story points of work. If the work is not completed, the entire story will travel, regardless of how many subtasks have been completed or not completed. The point here is, this is called as a spillover of a story, not called a spillover of incomplete subtask. There is no such concept. So if the story what you have committed, you have not, you were unable to deliver, that means it's a spillover. You take that entire story out of the, means this sprint is getting closed. Based on the priority, it may go to the next sprint, or it will go back to the product backlog. That decision is from the product owner, right? So you cannot only take the topics which you have completed, and you cannot push only the income. No, there is no such concept. You will take the whole piece, because you deliver a value, you don't deliver subtask in the sprint. Okay. How to match capacity to story point? Example, in say if we are doing 1 story point 8 hours, we do. Okay, I'm not a big fan of, first of all, matching this, because if we are doing that, why can't we straight away add that 8 hours? Because if we use story point alone, that is not following scrum or sprint. First of all, don't give that matching, because then definitely we will get into that mindset. uh, One story point equal to so many so hours. We will forget about all the other factors, because, as I mentioned, story point is the combination that we derive in the estimation technique or estimation framework, with the different factors, like uh, how many dependencies involved, what is the complexity of the work, risk items, all those things actually bundle up and give that story point. If we match this, we will eliminate all those things, and we only talk about the amount of work that we are investing. So please do not have that point. Capacity planner, what you are using, which is in hours, that is going to help you in your task breakdown activity and not in your story points, because the capacity that you are collecting is in hours. So always people get this question, how the capacity that what I have collected, I can convert it into story points. Do not have that conversion. It is all about task breakdown. So you have a story that is getting planned for the sprint. That means, as a next activity, you will be doing the task breakdown. So in the task breakdown, everyone is going to contribute, right? Like, as a designer, I will be contributing, developer contributes, the tester contributes, everyone is going to contribute, documentation person. What if I'm a tester, okay? I have taken 3 days of leave, which means I'm only available for the 7 days of the sprint. That means when the task breakdown is happening, I'm going to call out, I don't have the capacity. That is what the benefit of the capacity planner. So now team should plan who can actually test, who is the next QA, who can provide the support. It is not about the story point. All right. So capacity planner, which we are collecting, capacity details in the capacity planner, what we are collecting, it is in hours, and this is going to be helpful in the task breakdown, and it is nothing to be related to story points. Uh, do not match the hours what we have calculated or what we have gained in the capacity planner to the story points. Let's not do that. That is not the right matching as well. If any of the team not attending the sprint events, how to handle as a scrum master? Okay, this is actually, uh, I tell I actually going to explain this slightly in a different way. When you attend a meeting, if you find a value, if you don't find a value, you will not attend a meeting. uh, for example, you perform sprint planning, 1 hour, 1.5 hours as a team, we are sitting, we are doing the task breakdown, we are coming with everything. Awesome, right? We are going to have everything. The question here is, at the end of the sprint planning, we have started the sprint. Second day, product owner is coming with some scope change. Third day, uh, product owner is coming with some scope change. Every day there is a scope change happening. Then what is the purpose of the sprint planning? As a team member, I may get this question, right? What is even happening here? What is the purpose of the sprint planning? Because we are not sticking to that plan. We are every day changing that. This is actually diverting the focus, which means I'm not seeing real value from that meeting. Let's say backlog refinement. We refine all the items, we talk about everything, we clarify each and every information. Awesome. But after the backlog refinement, product owners keep on updating information even after the estimation is done. Team is unaware of those information at all. There is no proper communication. Do I see a value out of it? No. And we don't have a strong estimation framework. Will I feel comfortable to estimate? No. So it is not the only the way that we see people are not interested. We should also analyze why people are not interested, whether the problem is with the process or people are not seeing a real value coming out of that event. What is exactly the problem? As a scrum master, first we need to analyze and understand that. If you think that, oh, this person is not at all finding any value, see, there may be also in some cases process is all fine, it is just that one person who is not interested. You should have some common one-on-one, uh, like frequently meet with that person and understand what is actually the person looking from that event and what is stopping the person to attend that meeting, and also explain what value the person brings if the person is attending that meeting. Make that person accountable and ensure that the person is feeling that the value the person is bringing to that meeting. That is very important. So it's like two sides of the coin, right? Like one side, you should understand whether we are really having a process which is giving value to people, so that people really feels to be available over there. And the other way is like, if someone is actually having the problem, try to connect with the person, understand what exactly the issue, so that you will be able to learn a different story maybe. How to mitigate that, we can definitely think from that option. Okay, next one, Anthony has a question. Based on the story spillover, what happens to the velocity of the partly completed story? Okay, velocity is calculated only for the completed stories. There is no partial completion. So if the story is completed, like only testing is pending, I cannot take the credit for the development activity. No, because we commit as a team, we commit as a whole value. We don't commit as a development value or a tested value. So we don't have the option called partly developed or partly completed. So if a story gets completed, we are going to take the credit and we are going to use that in the velocity calculation. If in case it's somewhere blocked, just there is one single issue we need to fix, no, still it is a spillover and we cannot take the credit, and that will go to the next sprint or maybe to the product backlog, depends on the priority call from the product owner, and then we will be going ahead with that. So in a nutshell, velocity only uses completed story points from the completed stories and not from the partly completed or any other definition. Only completed story points are included in the velocity calculation. How to prevent cherry picking? Oh yeah, so we have an episode, I believe. Yes, we have. So cherry picking actually is like, it's a very common thing. The first thing what I mentioned, limit the work in progress, that is one thing that we also discussed today. That may partially help. The other thing is, as a scrum master, we should be very confident about what is the order of execution that will benefit the sprint. See, sprint has maybe 10 or 15 user stories. At the end of the day, there should be an order. For example, uh, as I mentioned earlier also, right? Like if a story demands a good amount of testing, please pick up that story first. If a story is actually going to impact some other story, please develop that first. If the story is going to be a must item so that the next sprint is not going to be impacted, please prioritize that. So in the sprint backlog itself, you should have different priorities. It's like, okay, all the topics are high priority, I agree to that fact, but at the same time, as a scrum master, we should know the order. The order is purely again on the internal priority of the sprint backlog. So it's very important. um, let's consider in this way, right? So if you have a sprint and people are just picking on their own, like I want to work on this, I want to work on that, maybe they have their own choices, right? If we do that, what will be happening at the end? Maybe the all easy or the minimum complex work may go first, and at the end we may have all the topics which are so complex and may need some dependency resolution. Then it's going to be a hard time for the entire team. So that is the place. If you have a strong order of execution, you can very well avoid the cherry picking. Cherry picking should be completely eliminated, so that you know what are the things that should come first, and what can actually benefit others, and what also can really make an impact. That is very, very important as a overall process, that how we can improve on that elimination of cherry picking. So have that theory of order of execution of the sprint backlog items, so that you can definitely eliminate the cherry picking. Buffer time is good or bad in sprint? Okay, when you say buffer time, uh, okay, means you are saying that you are not going to make neck to neck commitments, and you have some always some time at the end. Is that what you refer as buffer time, Rajshekhar? Can you please slightly explain what you are referring as buffer time here? Because in general, do not make neck to neck commitments. Okay, have some placeholders for some topics, like if your team is working on production support issues. Okay, so when you say production support issues, it may or may not come, right? What if actually there is a high priority issue that came from production you need to support? You should have some placeholder to balance that out, right? So to balance that out, you are keeping some placeholder. What if no issues are coming? You should always have a replacement item that is readily available in your product backlog, which doesn't need any kind of planning, any kind of refinement. The only reason we have not pulled that in is we don't want to make neck to neck commitment. It doesn't mean that we are not ready to pick up anything. So that is actually I want to explain. If you are thinking as a part of buffer time, let's keep something as a space, so that any there should not be any failure of sprint. But do not think that always we have a successful sprint. Okay, suppose if team took unplanned leave, we will go buffer time. No, no, we should not. See, unexpected events that occur, right? Unexpected events like uh, people taking leave, or we encountered some blocker which we never anticipated. Let's call it out. That's a learning, right? That's a learning. Sometimes actually team may not be available. That is when you have some ups and downs in the velocity. Otherwise it's going to be a flat line. That's not what we want. We want to really understand how as a team this is performing. Like, okay, people have taken a lot of sick leaves, people have taken a lot of unplanned leaves. That's fine. That's how we are learning. So if we start adding buffer for all those things, thinking that, oh, my team members may take leave, so let's make this plan so that we will not fail in the sprint. No, that's not the right way of handling. We can have definitely spillovers from the sprint. What is making the spillover? That is a learning for us. We are going to avoid certain instances so that we will not fail in the sprint again. But it doesn't mean that we should always avoid the failure. That's not the right approach. Please explain on throughput. Okay, throughput is a topic in Kanban. Basically, Prakash, we can use even in Scrum, but you would have seen a Kanban board, which is completely based on the pull mechanism. The number of completed items, because in Kanban, if you see, it's not a sprint based mechanism, right? There is no time frame, or there is no time boxed event. So it's all about like backlog have too many items, you pull, and it is all about like when you are pulling the items from left to right, you finally reach the throughput, which crosses design, development, testing, UAT, all those phases. These all items, those are actually the countable item. For example, in a month, what is the throughput? So how many items you delivered in that month, that is called as the throughput. I can explain much better when we get into the Kanban, but it is a very interesting topic to learn about throughput. If you still need some clarification, please let me know. But that will be covered as part of our Kanban in detail. All right. So Rajshekhar has another question: how to reduce the spillover? No, don't look for reducing the spillover, right? Rather, improve your planning, improve your estimation, improve your refinement process. See, when spillover comes, first of all, when there is a spillover, do not look for, okay, next time we need to have zero spillover. Maybe that's a very good goal, but try to understand from the spillover what made this spillover happen. Is that underestimation from the team? That means there is a call to make on the estimation framework of the team. Your estimation framework is not right as a team. What is that? Something overcommitment? That means as a scrum master you are not providing the capacity details properly, or your team is kind of like overcommitting and you are not guiding with the factor of velocity. Why can't we improve on that? There is another thing, like always the spillover is happening just because of unplanned leaves, sick leaves, and all those things happening. Is that a kind of like pattern? Then you may not have the complete control to work on that. You put this question in the retrospective meeting. So uh, whenever there is a problem, or whenever there is a spillover happening, please raise the point in the retrospective meeting. That is very very important. Why it is very very important? That is the place you will get to know different ideas. Oh, Selvi, like, we committed too much this time. This should not be the thing. Okay, good. People are talking. That's what. So it's not about how to reduce the spillover, how to improve our overall sprint and the sprint execution. Sometimes your sprint had gone so well, and at the end, you encountered an issue in the testing. Because of that, there is one spillover story. It's actually everyone did their job fantastically well, but still a spillover. We can't reduce, but we have a learning. What would have improved over there? If it is just an instant that's happening only on the sprint, okay, maybe we can look for more topics in the same way. If it is happening as a pattern, then it's a kind of like a heads up to us as a scrum master. Hey, can we improve some testing areas like in intermediate testing, or why can't we have some peer testing, pair testing, all those things, right? So that is how we improve our process also. So rather than focusing on how to reduce the spillover, let's try to learn from the spillover and fix the actual problem, so that automatically spillover will reduce. So directly we cannot reduce the spillover. Instead, I call it in a way, fix the gaps which is creating the spillover. What is the most challenging event in sprint? Which means you are asking the scrum events, Santosh, or what exactly? What is the most challenging event in sprint? We have, see, all the, okay. Okay, I'll get to this question, but I'm just trying to process Santosh's question. What is most challenging? Okay, Santosh, if you can put the question slightly in an elaborated way, like, are you looking for an answer for all the Scrum events? What is the challenging event, or is that something you are specifically calling out within the sprint execution? Okay, Rajshekhar has another question. Okay, so I want to be having a quick time check. We kind of like running 30 minutes from the actual planned time. So I'll take, after Rajshekhar question, I will take one more question so that we can wind up the session for today. I love the questions, but I'm also, yes, Scrum event. Okay, I'll come to that question, Santosh. Thank you. So yeah, we just need to be very sure about the timing as well. Okay, my average velocity is saying 40 story point, but my team capacity very less compare to previous sprint. Then how much story point team going to pick in this situation? Either 40 or less. Okay, I talked about two factors, Rajshekhar. So one is your deciding factor, and another one is your guiding factor. So deciding factor is always your capacity. See, you cannot plan more than your capacity. So always capacity will decide how much work you can take it in the sprint. Number one, no doubt in that. What is the deciding factor is when something you are feeling that you have too much of capacity, like everyone is available in the sprint, and the sprint is going to be of 10 days, no holidays, nothing, and everyone is available, and still you feel with the number of items, you can guide the team. Hey, our velocity is 40, but we kind of like taken 50 story points. You people want to revisit on what we have committed, you can give that as a guidance. It's not mandatory. Capacity is mandatory because it decides. Velocity is something, it provides guidance, because you as a scrum master trying to explain to team, this is what we generally do. We always don't make neck to neck commitments. Can we revisit on what we have committed so that we can reduce that, or if there is a possibility to reduce? That's what we are doing. So decision factor, guidance factor, two different things. Capacity, velocity. Okay, so yeah, Santosh is asking about the Scrum event. So we have okay. You asked the question. It's like not the what is the important. Your question is what is the challenging event? Everything is a challenging event, Santosh, because it's not only as a Scrum Master you execute the event. It's the team. So when we have the team, you need to deliver a value, so that people feel uh, a real value coming out of the event. uh, and at the same time, every what are the events which you can use without people's attendance but with different tools. For example, daily scrum call. When the team is so matured enough and they are using the tool very clearly, they can call out the dependencies, they can tag the right people, they can explain things in the tool itself. Like for example, if you are using Jira, you can put the information in the story itself what exactly the thing is. You no need to really have a meeting, but it doesn't mean that you should not have that meeting. That is really a collaboration meeting which you should have. So every meeting has their own thing, own challenge. It's not like any meeting that is out of challenge. I can completely say that because it's not one person who is running that event. It's a group of people. See, backlog refinement is also challenging because you should have right information. Team should feel that they are able to clarify the doubts and they are better able to connect with the stories and the requirements. It's also a challenge for the entire team because they need to come with the estimation. Planning, it's the day one of the sprint. You need to have the right things. So please ensure that you are planning at the best day. It is also challenging. Daily scrum call, if there is no collaboration, if there is no calling out of dependencies, no transparency, people say that everything is okay, okay, but it is not the way it goes, then also it's challenging. So it's not going to be something like this event is fine, this event is not fine. Even in sprint review, right, if you're not getting much of the feedback from your stakeholders, is that going to be fruitful? That is also a challenging thing. Many of your stakeholders are not attending. As a scrum master, what are you going to do? Because you should not you should ensure your team is motivated. They have done a wonderful job. They should be able to demo it in front of everyone. That is going to bring their confidence to the next level. That's challenging. It's not easy to bring each and every stakeholder to the review meeting, but you should do that. Retrospective meeting, entirely a challenging thing because you need to deliver a value, otherwise people feel that it's waste of time. They should talk, they should share the concerns. It should not be a debate show, but at the end of the day they should share their concerns. It's challenging. So I'm not going to rate this or that, but everything has its own challenges. But I can make a separate episode because what are the challenges in every event? For sure we have a lot of challenges, but there is no such event without challenges. All right. Okay, I think those are the questions. I don't see any more questions. Thank you so much, everyone, once again, for the great support. Uh, Please stay connected to the channel if you have not subscribed so far. And if you feel there is a value coming from this channel, please subscribe. That's going to be a real motivation for me to have more videos and content coming in. And also, please share your votes. Please vote on the poll that I have shown. That will be really helpful for me to plan the next topics because we have good amount of content that we need to plan. So that is something we need to definitely look for. So yeah, so I think that's all we have. Share the channel with your friends who are looking something as part of project management, agile topics. Definitely we will deliver the maximum value to everyone who is participating in this channel and who is part of the channel. Once again, thank you so much for the support. Yeah, thanks Santosh, thanks Rajshekhar, thank you Prakash. Okay, I think good. We have, sorry, I've taken probably 40 minutes extra. Uh, Hopefully, it benefited most of us in the group. We will try to stick to the time next time. This is a very uh, kind of like wide covered topic. I tried to put it in a way that should fit in the time, but yeah, good level of questions. Thank you so much. Participate in the quiz. Learn every topic a day. That's going to be always awesome for everyone. All right, people. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. See you all in the next live stream. Thank you so much.